Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned high performance coach. When odds are stacked against us, how do we shift and create everything from nothing? How do we level up when we aren't feeling it yet or we've had a big setback? On this podcast, I'll be talking to some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on this planet who, at their worst, learned how to achieve success greater than they ever dreamed possible, leveling up and creating everything from nothing. As a young boy, Downey Morel bounced from one small apartment to another as his single mom struggled to pay rent. It was a TV show, Beverly Hills 90210, that exposed him to the idea of what is possible. Downey shares with me that that show was his first exposure to kids being happy. He just knew he wanted that. It was through that desire that Downey figured out early on that thoughts, they can become reality. He also decided that anything one person could do, he could do too. That decision served him well. Years later, Downey is a mega success, multimillionaire. His energy and drive is nothing short of magnetic. On this episode of Leveling Up, Downey shares with us why messed up belief systems can bring the wrong results and how you can shift those. He shares his tricks for stopping worry dead in its tracks, why anything great has nothing to do with the how or the process, how he successfully enrolls others in his vision, why he lives by faith, not fear, and why he believes that declaring things should be a priority. Downey continually levels up, and I am thrilled to share with you exactly how Downey Morel created everything from nothing. Today, I've got Downey Morel here, and I'm thrilled to meet you. I just learned that you knew my husband before me, and I know we've got a few mutual friends in common. So thank you so much for jumping on my show with me.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be hopefully a fun conversation.
Of course, it'll be a fun conversation. It's us, right? So we have to, and we know fun people. So it's going to be a fun conversation.
Absolutely.
So Downey, people look at you online and they see this incredible success, and they're like, this guy just has so much success about him, and they see you as that now, but I know it wasn't always that way for you. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like before you were such a success?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'm that much of a success now. I'm obviously just trying to do the best that I can, but my story has kind of two different parts to it, and the first was, when I was growing up, my parents split up, and that kind of forced us to move out here to California. Mm-hmm. And when we moved out here to California, my mom brought myself, my two brothers, and I out here. And, we literally started living in a small apartment. And I can remember we moved around. I think we hopped around 6 different apartments all on the same street based off of which one had the best deal.
Really?
Yeah. Like we moved constantly. We were moving every year, it felt like, at the beginning. And, quite frankly, by the time I was 18 years old, I used to watch this show. Would you remember Beverly Hills 90210?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, and so I remember watching that show. And, when you're living a world financially that isn't that great, you kind of have to expose yourself to what's possible through TV, through movies, through seminars, through Instagram now, whatever means necessary if you, in your subconscious mind, feel that you deserve to live a better life. And, I didn't even know what that felt like back then. I just know that I wasn't happy with what our situation was, and I instinctively just would gravitate towards this show, Beverly Hills 90210, and I liked it. I liked it because the kids seemed happy. They weren't fighting. There was no shooting. There was no drugs around. On the contrary, there was nice clothes, nice cars, nice houses. And I remember I just used to think, like, I know it's TV, man, but if these guys can do it, like, why the heck couldn't I do it, And that was the thought. That was the beginning of it all for me right there.
So that was sort of your first action towards your thoughts becoming realities, as watching it on TV and being able to put yourself in the shoes of those kids.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, quite frankly, I think that's the beginning for everybody. You got to expose yourself to what's possible. And people do this in different ways. Some people go and they get exposed to what's possible. Maybe you attend a seminar and the speaker is just fantastic, and you get riled up and focused. In your case, maybe somebody comes towards one of your events that's overweight, and sees, oh my God, look at her, look at how in shape she is. Someday, that's it. I'm going to get going and I'm going to make it happen. That's one reaction, right? Mm-hmm. The second reaction is, I don't know. I don't know if I could really do that. I know it works for them, but I don't know if it would ever work for me, And so there's a little doubt in the second reaction. And then the third reaction is flat out, nope, that's not for me. You don't understand. I know she's fit, but you don't understand. My weight is hereditary. Everyone in my family is overweight. So no, that's just because she has good genetics. That's it. It's excuse based. And I was fortunate enough for me when it came to lifestyle that I saw that show, and I've always been the type of individual that thinks, I don't care how tough it's going to be. Anything that one man or woman can accomplish, I can accomplish as well, And that's been the driving force behind what's happened in my life is I expose myself to something that somebody else has done. I see if it's something that I would like to do. And then I just question, why the heck couldn't I do it? So.
Yeah. I love that. No, so it's interesting because I totally hear you about, you just gave 3 examples, and number 3, the excuses. And my gosh, my slogan is excuses or solutions, you decide. So that definitely, I see that. The danger that I see is that number 2 you mentioned, those self-imposed stops, when people, they literally put a glass ceiling on themselves. Like, I can't because, or I never would be able to.
Yep.
And then the gem lies in that number 1, in exposing yourself to what's possible. How did you get there? Because like you said, you came from a place of moving so many times to who had the best deal. Who in your life helped you get that confidence, or how did you develop that to have that number 1?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. That's a great question. And I'll tell you the exact answer. I believe in something called a spiritual inheritance. Have you ever heard that terminology?
No. What does that mean?
So a spiritual inheritance is something that a pastor once taught me. It's an inheritance. It's, there's financial inheritances, there's physical inheritances. Maybe you look like someone that came before you. And then there's spiritual inheritance, right? And a spiritual inheritance is an inheritance of the spirit, where there's something inside of you that came from either your parents or your grandparents. And you see this a lot with entrepreneurs, like with a bloodline of entrepreneurs. In my case, the spiritual inheritance that I got was faith. My mom, she's since passed away, but my mom was the most faith-filled woman I have ever met. She was this little 4'2" Hispanic lady. And just think for a second here, Natalie. She moved her 3 boys from one side of the country to the next, like cold turkey, and just started a brand new life, like as a single mother. That takes faith, that takes faith.
Powerful. Yes. Really,
really powerful. And I hope that's an encouragement to all the ladies out there. And maybe if they're a single mom out there, the situation is going to be as tough as you allow it to be in your head. There's things that you can control, and there's things that you cannot control. You cannot control circumstances. You cannot control occurrences. You can't control your thoughts, your energy, and what you plan to do about those things. And my mom was always the kind of person that, as a result of her faith, the faith that she had, and I'm not even talking about like faith in God. I'm just talking about, even though that was the number 1 driving force in her life, she was just the kind of lady that just believed. And they just believed that everything was possible, and I got that. And so, I think that was the leading indicator for me, is that whenever I looked at something, I would just say, no, I could do it. Okay, it might be a little bit difficult, but I could do it, and that was, I think, what kicked it all off for me.
Yeah, that's interesting, Danny. I hear from everybody I interview, it's like one of 4 things. It's either faith, religion, right, or the universe. Maybe it's they believe more the universe speaks to them, or there's the other 2 things: a lot of personal development work, a lot of deep dive into that, or somebody else believes in them. And it sounds just like that. It no matter what path you choose, it just seems so powerful. Like, it's just having that overall belief coming from somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. Now, to be fair to everybody, because maybe Maybe someone is out there struggling and maybe they're saying, okay, well, good for you, dude. Like you're filled with faith. What about me? I'm in the middle, right? So I'm part of group number 2. So let me explain to you where that faith didn't necessarily serve me because of my habitual thinking. Mm-hmm. I recently lost 25 pounds. I feel great. I'm in the best shape of my life. I still want to even get better. But that means that literally my entire adult life, I was between 18 and 25 pounds overweight. Now, I went to the gym every single day. There was never a day I would skip, maybe Saturdays and Sundays, but for the most part of my habits, part of my routine was I would go to the gym Monday through Friday. Here was the problem. My habitual belief system was all jacked up. You see, when I looked around at my family and I looked at our health, there was no one that was healthy. No one, not one person was physically fit in my family growing up. And what I didn't realize is that even though I went to the gym every single day, because I didn't have the ability to see what was possible in my own family, I would look at the mirror, I would look at my stomach, and I go, yeah, you're a fat ass. Keep it up, buddy. And I would just constantly just cause all of this negativity, right? It was habitual. I would eat well Monday through Wednesday, and something would happen about Thursday where all of a sudden, like I would down 5 cookies, a glass of milk, and I would just sabotage myself. Friday, you feel guilty because you already messed up on Thursday. So guess what you do? You just kind of continue along with the flow. And then Saturdays, you got to go out and drink with your friends. So you basically just ruined all the 3 days of hard work in 3 days of bad work, basically. And that was my life for all of my adult life. It was like for 20 years. Yeah.
You had like these habits. It sounds like you have habits that they became patterns. That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. And so the pattern that I had was that, it was like I would do good Monday through Wednesday, and then I would do bad Thursday through Saturday, and then I would try to clean it up on Sunday and then right back on it on Monday. And I never realized what that was doing to my body. It was constantly putting it in a state of having to keep fat. And quite frankly, it was damaging it, And I'm a firm believer that the outer world is a reflection of your inner world. I'm a firm believer in that. And I've essentially proven it, not just financially, but now physically as well. There was something wrong inside of me. There was a doubt, there was a fear, there was a worry, there was a self-love issue that I was never going to get into the shape that I deserved to be or desperately wanted to be in if I didn't deal with those things first.
Love that. And Dan, I talk about self-imposed stops, and that's exactly what you're describing right now. It's that you created a self-imposed stop based on just your thoughts.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the worst part, Natalie, is that you're talking to a guy that went to seminars, that read books, in terms of personal development, I did it all. But I never really accepted responsibility for the fact that it wasn't my family, it wasn't my genetics, it wasn't that I'm Hispanic, it wasn't all the bullshit stories I was feeding myself. Mm-hmm. It was me. It was me. It was my fault,
So what did you have to stop believing, and how did you do that? Like, how did you stop believing that?
So I'll tell you exactly what happened. I met a trainer. And unbeknownst to me, I would go to the mirror, I would look at myself in the mirror, and I would just say to myself, you're fat. At times I wouldn't even say it like physically. Mm-hmm. I would just think it, okay? And now I would look at my forearms, for example, and I would go, my forearms aren't that fat. But because I was so focused on my abs, right? I would say, no, but look at your stomach. Your stomach is fat because you can't see your abs. So I didn't look at my forearms. I didn't look at my neck. I didn't look at anywhere where my body didn't hold as much fat. I only focused, right? My entire adult life, I focused on the one area where my genetics, my body holds the most fat at, right? It's kind of like focusing on the negative versus focusing on the positive. Until one day I'm sitting there working out, and true story, this absolutely changed my life. One day I go, you know what? I'm just tired of being fat. I said that, and she goes, well, you're not fat. I go, yeah, look I don't have abs. Of course I have. She goes, no, you're not fat. She even told me, look at your forearms. You have really lean forearms. It's not that. Your body just happens to hold fat a little bit more in your belly section. It just literally, it was like if someone just let me out of jail. Because it's because then I start thinking, okay, well, hold on a second. That just means that when I do well, it's just going to take a little bit longer for it to show around my midsection. My entire adult life, that was the thought that was holding me back, is that I would eat well and then nothing would happen around my abs and I'd get pissed off, self-sabotage. It was a mess. That's what did it for me.
So, and it's interesting that you just said that too, because do you find what you obsess about, you possess?
1,000,000%.
Yes, if you're focusing on I'm fat, you're going to keep finding evidence that you're fat.
100%. And by the way, you're going to go out and find fat. I hate to be this way. You're going to go out, but it's the absolute truth, whether your listeners want to listen. By the way, Natalie, I'm pretty blunt because I've come to realize that the only way to truly help people change their life is to be blunt. Yes. But you will find fat people to hang out with. You will find other people that struggle with the same thing because they make you feel better about the BS story going on in your head.
So you had to stop believing this. You had to change that pattern. Did you also have to change your surrounding and who you were friends with?
See, I did that in my business life. I did that in my finances. Yes, I did. I remember I was 18 years old when I decided to really go for it. And I had read in a book, you got to be careful who you surround yourself with. And I was just so coachable. Like when someone tells me something, I take it like for face value. Yeah. Like I literally go, oh my God, I got to drop everything. And I really have to be careful with everyone I surround myself with, where the average person goes, okay, yeah, whatever. And then 20 years later, they do something about it. So I literally said, I can't wait a second. I got to grab a piece of paper. I grabbed the piece of paper and I drew a line down the middle. And on the left side, I put positive. On the next side, I put negative. And here's what I asked myself. If I want to become a multimillionaire someday and live the life of my dreams, who is having a positive influence on me right now and who is having a negative influence on me right now?
Wow, that's brilliant. It's so simple and it's brilliant. It's just
it really is.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what, Natalie, but it's so tough. It's tough. And that's why the state of humanity is the way it is. That's why we live in the richest country in the world and 80% of us are broke. It's because we're not willing to look at the truth head on and do the tough things that need to take place in order for us to succeed. And yeah.
So you made this list. Was your mind stopping you with, well, but that's a friend, that's a relative, that's important?
I was brutally like, I just didn't care. I just did because I wanted it. See, your mind will, it all depends on how bad you want what it is that you want to accomplish. When you want it bad enough, you're willing to do everything. Till this day, people, I'm for the most part maxed out on Facebook and, whatever the case may be. But if I happen to scroll and I see any negativity, any stupidity, anything that is not positive, I just unfriend people right away. I just don't have any room for negativity in my life.
Yeah. I love, and I have a heavy presence on social media, but I tell people to do a social media detox because it's not even so much negative and positive, I find, but it's like, how does it make you feel? Does it motivate? Does it encourage? Does it empower you? Or is it bringing you down? Because something could be positive, but make you feel like crap. And that's not helpful either. Right?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Now, have you always had a vision of what you wanted for your life?
Always. Always. And the vision always changes and the vision always gets better because here's what I found. So, true story. So, when you're young and you're broke and you have no money, you want some of the basics, especially as a young man, right? So I wanted some of the basics. I wanted a house and I wanted a nice car. Well, guess what happens when you have the house and you have the nice car?
What?
If your vision is short term, then you get short term results and then you stay stuck.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. If your vision is short, then you get short-term results and you stay stuck. So what I found, and I have been stuck in a couple of different places in my life and in my journey, but what I found is I constantly have to expand the vision. And so there's always been something that has been literally pulling me towards success.
And how did you do that? How do you expand the vision? And how do you do it without stopping yourself with a house? Because I see people get caught up in that. Like, I want this, but how will I do that? And that stops them.
All right. So we're going to get deep right now.
I love it. Okay? Let's get deep. Let's go.
Yeah. So there's a theory called the quantum leap theory. And the way that the quantum leap theory works is it essentially talks about the fact that as children, we feel no limitation. Okay. No limitation. As adults, as we get older and we start growing up and we start, quite honestly, going through bad stuff, bad relationships, bad experiences, failures, what starts to happen is we start to develop this thing called an ego. And the ego is a part of your subconscious that its number one job is to keep you safe and to keep you from feeling harm or embarrassment. Okay? Then you have another side. The other side is called the spirit. The spirit. And the spirit is the part of you that really believes that you could accomplish anything. You know, it's the side that goes on social media. It's the side where your followers follow you. They get inspired by you. And there's a constant battle behind the spirit and the ego. For some people, the ego has a little bit more control than they'd like. For others, the spirit has more control. And quite honestly, that's what dictates the result is the more you get connected to your spirit and the further away you step away from your ego, the more free you are to go out and chase and fulfill all your life's dreams and your destiny. So what happens is in the quantum leap theory, essentially what happens is you come up with a thought, but the thought or the goal is completely predicated by your current resources, your current circumstances, and your past experiences. In other words, you don't even realize it, but as a human being, you don't even have the freedom to create a real goal. The goal you are creating is all based off of your current resources. How much money do I have? Whatever the case may be, right? Your current circumstances, right? Am I in a good relationship or a bad one? Do I have food in the fridge or do I not? Can I pay my bills or can I not pay my bills? And your past experiences. Oh, I remember that one time I tried to make that investment and it failed. Nope, I'm not going to do that again. So everyone is walking around, Natalie, right? And you can see it. You can literally see it. It's like, you know, if you want to play this like weirdo game a little bit, think of this thing as the Matrix and think of it and look around at all the humans walking around and some are succeeding beyond their wildest dreams and they make it look easy and some are just stuck. And we're stuck because we literally are thinking through a filter that is holding us back.
I love how you've just explained that because I definitely have heard, I've shared about thoughts and actions, but this filter really makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's like having the wrong, they're not rose colored, they're black glasses.
No. Right. So then how do I do it? I realize that my ego is going to try to keep me safe, right? I realize that my ego is going to try to keep me from not feeling pain and embarrassment. So last year, I'll give you this example. Last year I had an event. It was the first time I was ever going to really put together an event. The name of the event is called Relentless, right?
Okay.
And I didn't even know how I was going to do it. I didn't even know who was going to come. Honest to God, I didn't even know who the guest speakers were going to be. But I signed a contract for a 3-day event for 2,500 people.
Wow. Right? That is a serious vision without a how.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I just went all in. Went all in. Right? All in. So the room itself was, call it $100,000 or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And then I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get 2,500 people? Like, my social media is my social media is barely growing. I'm not even all that big. I've got 45,000 followers on Instagram, but like back then I had like 8,000, Got it. But I was being pulled by my ultimate vision, which is to sell out the Staples Center.
Okay, so back up a second because I got a lot of questions right now. So you're clear on this vision. You want a vision. You want to create this event called Relentless. And you don't know who's speaking. You don't know who these 2,500 people are. You're going to now fund it. So you're going to spend money on an event. Now, and I'm assuming you're going to pay for speakers too.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. So,
and you have no idea how this is going to happen.
None whatsoever. I'm crazy.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And now to be fair to everybody, because I really want to help your listeners out, there's two forces driving me here. Number one, I've lived a life where I said I was going to buy my mom a house. I bought my mom a house. I said I was going to make $1 million a year. By the time I was 26 years old, I made $1 million a year. By the time I was 26, I said I was going to be the number one salesperson in the office. I was the number one salesperson.
You declare it.
I said, I declare it and it happens. Declare it, it happens. Declare it, it happens. Declare it, it happens. Declare it, it happens, right? So I have so much proof now that by the time I declare, I'm going to get 2,500 people in here for 3 days to listen to me and a couple of guest speakers. There's so much proof behind me. So the first thing your listeners have got to do is they got to start declaring stuff. I don't care if it's simple. I don't care if it's, by the end of this year, I'm going to pay my bills off. and I'm going to be debt free. Or if, by the end of this year, I've been saying, I hate pinching the side of my stomach and I hate feeling this thick, but by the end of this year, damn it, I've been saying it for the last 15 years. I don't care what happens. I'm going to do it. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And then you actually go do it and you start reinforcing that spirit inside. And pretty soon that spirit just starts to believe that you can do anything. You follow me?
I do. Now I'm with you on the declare thing, and I get it. And I know it's even scary I'm sure it's scary for you too, to sometimes declare things because you're like, oh shoot, if I declare it, I really have to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
How do you stop yourself? I know you said you have evidence and you understand about the filter, but I'm sure there's times where it's not going that way. How do you keep yourself from falling back to that self-imposed stop? Like, oh, I'm a failure. It's not working.
Yeah.
Like, what happens then?
Look, I've never repeated this anywhere. So your listeners are getting like exclusive access to this.
Perfect.
Natalie, like leading up to the event, 90 days out, we had only sold like 980 tickets.
Okay. So you're freaking out.
I was shitting my pants is what I was doing. Is what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm freaking out. Right. But but that reminded me of, a second part of my, go ahead.
What was the conversation in your head when you're freaking out though? Were you saying, I just got to do it anyway? Or were you saying, oh,
yeah, hold on. Let me tell you. So 18 years old, start selling real estate, do really well, make $1.5 million a year. By the time I'm 27, market falls apart, everything goes to crap. And then I rebuild, right? And I literally am in a period of my life where I go from making 7 figures to $1,500 a month. Dead broke. So I went back to the lesson I learned then. The bills were piling up and I couldn't pay them. And here's what most people do. They look at the bills in the corner and they go, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't pay them. And here's what I learned to do. You ready?
I'm ready.
If there's nothing you can do about it, why worry about it? So You know what I did?
What'd you do?
I grabbed the bills, I ripped them all in half, and I just threw them in the trash can. I'm not even lying. I just threw them in the trash can, and as the collectors would call me, I just wouldn't pick up the phone anymore.
Okay.
Because that was out of my control. I just didn't have the money to do anything about it, and instead I focused on what I could control. What I can't control is I can go get back to work. I can go do what I'm good at doing. I can go out and create new revenue streams that I can control. This is the same thing that I did with the ticket sales. I thought to myself, there's nothing I can do. So instead of focusing all of my energy on this, why don't I just put it aside? People have to learn to just put the doubt aside because you have the power to do that and go control what you can control. And that's what I did. And sure enough, by the time it was all said and done, we didn't get 2,500 people there, but we got 2,000 people there for 3 days. Honest to God, people have quadrupled their income. People have brought their dream home. People have lost weight. People have paid off debt. It was the most incredible 3-day event, and I'm proud that I had the courage to pull it off.
I'm impressed, and I want to know somehow because the how has to happen too. So you get the right mindset. You're like, I'm not even going to focus on the fact that I don't have people. It's not working.
Right.
What does that allow for when you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what it really allows you to do is to go out and really go and dream big and really see what's really possible for your life. Because I run a company right now, and I just want to put things in perspective, okay? Mm-hmm. My annual salaries per year for my employees is just shy of $2 million.
Okay.
That's the size of what I run right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was a freaking 18-year-old kid that was on welfare living in a 2-bedroom apartment. And so you start to realize that anything great has nothing to do with how. Nothing to do with how. It has everything to do with you allowing it to happen. You got to get out of your head. You got to get out of the way, and you just got to believe that it's going to happen. And then what happens is it's like the universe just literally just starts conspiring, and it brings you the how. Can I tell you how it brought me the how for the event?
How did it bring it to you? Tell us how.
I'll tell you straight out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you straight out. Alex Rodriguez.
Okay.
I thought I need a big name. If I can get a big name, then other big names will come, and I'm going to go out and make this happen. So I put in a call, and I wrote a detailed letter to him, and I said, hey, man, look, you don't know me. Here's what I'm about. Here's the vision for this thing, whatever the case may be. He told me his fee. Luckily, because I have money because of my other business, I said, I don't care what the fee is. Get him here. When that happened, and my let came, and Andy Frisella signed up, and then Rob Dyrdek came. That's a whole nother story. I mean, the lineup was just insane. It was stacked.
Yeah. So what's interesting, so it sounds to me, what I'm hearing too, is you enrolled people in your vision. Like when you got out of that scarcity mindset of like, shoot, this is not working. Yep. And you allowed space for what's possible. You, one, asked for help and you enrolled people in your vision. That's what I'm hearing.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? Thank you. Sometimes I don't even know how it happens anymore. So thank you for explaining it to me.
So, and you had to get out of your own way. So, because I want people to hear that. It's not a woo-woo thing. It's not like I just decided and it just happened. It's not that at all. But you allowed the space for it to happen. And then you actually took action creatively from a good space. Yeah.
And let's go to physical fitness now for a second, right? So I lost 25 pounds. I'm not done. I'm at about 10% body fat, and I want to get in this maybe 6% body fat. I'm in the space right now where I haven't been the most disciplined in the world, but I'm just continuing the thought and I'm allowing it to happen. And I know that when I'm ready to go all in, I'll go all in. That's what it's all about. It's just don't get in the way with doubt. Don't get in the way with beating yourself up. Don't get in the way with saying negative thoughts to yourself. That's what I will not do to myself. And if there's been any strength that I have gotten or learned in the last 20 plus years of journey in business and in life, it's that. If you can just learn to not speak so negatively to yourself and to give yourself grace during the difficult times, you will win in the long run.
Wow. Now, would you have taken, you mentioned you were that 18-year-old kid, and I want to share with everyone too, you're always that kid that came from those humble places. That stays with you. So what would you tell somebody that's saying, okay, got it. You also have a business now that's thriving. So you could afford to take that risk. Would you give that same advice to somebody not in that financial situation?
So I wrote a book. And here's how I would say step by step that this whole thing happens. Okay. So number one, and this is, and the second step cannot and will not ever happen without number one. You got to decide to live by faith and not by fear. That was number one. And that goes back to my mom. That goes back to that is a decision. That is a choice. You cannot operate from both. It is either one or the other. Period. End of story. There is no gray, Natalie. It's black or white.
Got it.
So once you do number one and you really, and by the way, for some people, it may take you a year to really master number one. Who gives a crap? You're on your own journey. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. If it took you a year, now you have the rest of your life to live by faith. Okay. Number two, and this is important. You really can't decide what you really want until you really decide to live by faith. So number two is you got to decide what you want, whatever it is. And what I recommend to people, Natalie, is start small and achievable. Because if you could start small and achievable, and it's likely that you'll achieve it, your subconscious mind will buy into the goal and go, hey, it might be hard work, but I think I can do it.
So give me an example of a small but achievable goal.
What do you want, financial or physical?
Financial. Let's go with financial.
Okay. I mean, I think a big one, like for me personally, was I was in debt and I didn't want to have any debt.
Okay. So that was small but achievable because you're saying it's just, no matter what your debt level is, I don't want to be in debt, and it's achievable because other people have gotten out of debt.
Right. So here's what I did. I decided by faith that I was never going to have debt again. I went out and I made a plan. Step number 3 is I made a plan. And my plan involved coaching and training. I do not do anything in life without a coach or someone to show me how to do it. Okay? So when I went out and I looked up this course, Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University.
Yep.
And I took the course. It was like $300 for like 8 weeks or whatever the case may be. I invested in myself. I took the course. By the time the course was done, I was debt free. That's it.
Wow. I love that. And I love the part of investing in yourself because we take bigger action when we invest in ourselves.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about this. Why don't people invest in themselves? Because they worry about the how. They worry about, go back to what I said, their current resources, their current circumstances.
The filter.
Bingo, 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 bingo.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So step 1, live by faith, not fear. Step 2, decide what you want. Step 3, make a plan. Step 4, take massive inspired action. Step 5, track your numbers. Step 6, make adjustments based on the numbers. And step 7, don't be attached to the outcome. If you think about it, this applies towards business. This applies towards physical fitness. This applies towards getting in shape for a bodybuilding contest. Whatever you want, it applies.
Okay, wait. You went real fast through 5 through 7, but I want to make sure I got this. So you said, so you're going to take massive inspired action. I got that. So you're going to take actions. You're not just, it's not woo woo. You're actually taking action.
No. So track your numbers. Step 5.
So, and that's something, okay, this is actually interesting right here. A lot of successful people, especially the up and down or the quit successful, like the ones that had some success and then failed and then never went back. A lot of what I have found is they do 1 through 4 and then they don't do 5 through 7.
Right.
And that's a blind spot. So I want to talk about that. So track the numbers, explain what that means and why it's important.
Okay. Now, see, and I love jumping back and forth between physical and business because it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. So I use MyFitnessPal. And on the days that I track my macros, and I know what my macros need to be, I feel incredible. I feel empowered. I feel like I know exactly what's going on. And on the days that I don't, those are typically the days where I open the door to me messing up because psychologically speaking, I'm out of control. When you track your numbers, you can see exactly what's going on, and it takes business, success, whatever you want to call it, from being an emotion-based journey to a data-driven journey.
Got it. Okay. So then number 6 was then make adjustments based on those numbers.
Based on the numbers.
So you're not living with your head in the clouds. And I see this in business all the time. And my gosh, I've been there. I was that person. I don't like the numbers. I don't deal with the numbers. So I think I'm making all this money. And then you look at the overhead and you're like, whoa.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
So make adjustments.
And make adjustments based on the numbers driven by the data. Right.
Yep.
And then number 7, this is a big one. Don't be attached to the outcome. And here's what I mean by this. Honest to God, Natalie. Honest to God. If in that room there weren't 2,000 people and there only would have been 1,000, can I be perfectly honest with you? I would have made it the best freaking experience. I would not have allowed myself to be negative about it. I would have thought the thought, damn it, I got 1,000. That's a lot better than none.
I believe you would have done it with 50 too.
With 50, exactly. Yeah. I look at the positive in everything. I'm not attached to the outcome. I don't create negative stories about absolutely anything because that's what I know kills people's dreams.
And I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that experience taught you more about events as well because the scramble in the end. So there was a positive there too.
Yeah, it really, really did. It taught me to start marketing them earlier. Like for next year's event, now, the good news is we performed. So at the end of the day, you gotta put up, you gotta perform. And we really did change lives. We've sold just shy of 800 tickets already for next year.
Amazing.
But no, it's even more amazing because people don't even know who's coming or the date.
That's it. You got people are enrolled in your vision.
They're enrolled in the vision. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's been pretty awesome.
That is incredible. How do you define success now? What would you, what's your definition of success? And I'm curious because the first question I asked you, as I said, people see you as this powerful, successful person. And you said, I don't consider myself that way. So what does that mean to you?
I think success, man, that's a good one because it's been changing, If you would ask me at 21, what's success? It's having a big house and a big car. It honestly isn't even money, Natalie. I think success is having a complete understanding of who you are as a human being. The power you possess and achieving a state where you eliminate all limitations so that whatever you think is possible actually becomes possible. I think that's what success is.
Oh, that's a great definition. I love that.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the personal trait that you've had that is the most valuable to achieve that?
Faith.
You kept coming back to faith, and that's from your mom. That's amazing.
Yeah. I just don't get in the way. And when I am getting in the way, I catch it and I eliminate it. I'm conscious enough to understand how important that is. Can I give you an example of that real fast?
Yeah, of course.
So I have a big company, things are going great. And yet in the back of my mind, I have always wanted to own 100 apartments, 100 doors. That's a massive goal. Massive goal, right? And so finally, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but last week I thought to myself, I've been saying this for like 10 years and I don't own nearly 100 doors. Mm-hmm. So Danny, it's either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. What's the deal? And I started to like really self-analyze and I realized, oh my God, I'm getting in the way. It's always been, but the market's too high, so I don't want to pay too much per door, or where am I going to get the financing, or I don't even know the first step, whatever the case may be. So I said, enough is enough. I'm focused on the how. See how that happened? Mm-hmm. I was focused on the how. So right away, I just went out and I posted something somewhere and someone goes, hey, I know a guy that went to an event and he went to an event and literally 3 months later bought 65 doors. And I thought to myself, you see, that's what I needed to hear. Because if that guy could go to an event and buy 65 doors, damn it, I know I have the resources to go out and probably even buy 200 doors now.
Yeah.
I called the guy. I said, hey, I'm coming to your nice little boot camp. Where is it? How much? Okay, boom, I'm there. I'm done. And now I'm putting myself in a position where I eliminate all of the hows that have been holding me back for the last 15 plus years that I didn't even realize. Mm.
Yeah, it's always so interesting. We tend to get stuck. I do it to myself too. Everybody does it. Nobody's immune to it.
Everybody
gets stuck in that how, and it just pulls you out of your vision.
Yeah,
it's too early. So how do you view failures now? How do you view?
I mean, this is gonna sound. I don't even spend any time I don't empower failures or even think about them. So that's an awkward question for me to ask because I don't give it any energy.
So there is no failures in your mind.
There is no, I don't think that way. I don't allow myself to think that way. There's no answer. I can't even answer because it doesn't exist in my mind.
Got it. I love it. It's just, you make it non-existent. It goes back to what you pay attention to is going to keep growing.
Yeah.
So
it goes back to what you said. If there would have been 50, I would have given those 50 people an incredible life-changing experience. And hopefully they would have went out and talked about it to more people. And next year I would have got 100, but I'm not stopping until I get 2,500.
I love that. And it goes back to the day that you couldn't pay those bills. You got rid of them. They're gone.
Yeah, I just threw them away.
Can't see them. They don't exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. Do you ever worry about what other people think?
I wish the answer was no, but I'm going to tell you, you're asking good questions, by the way, because it's all stuff I'm going through in life right now. So, this happened yesterday. I posted something. And, I think I do a pretty decent job at providing great free content for people on Instagram. And as a result, there's a couple of people out there that you could say that are grateful for what I do. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. And then so a guy goes to me, thank you, sir, so much. And I go, hold on a second. Don't call me sir. Like, don't call me sir. You have no idea what that's doing to your subconscious mind when you call me another man sir. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, I was just trying to show you respect. I go, look, I totally get it. And yet there's so many other ways to show me respect or to show people respect. What you got to realize is that when you call another man sir, especially when they're your age, you are putting yourself just a little bit lower than that person subconsciously. Like you don't even realize it's happening. And I don't want that for you. I want you to feel and understand and know that I'm no different than you. I'm exactly the same as you are. And he was like, oh, thank you very much. But then I thought, hey, wait a minute, like that's good. And it's going to be controversial. Because I know, I know for a lot of people, especially like from the South or whatever, the words, like that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So sure enough, I told my social media team, I said, hey, I want you to find an image of me looking serious, and I want you to put the words, men, don't call other men sir, right? Yeah. And so sure enough, I posted it. Natalie, it's been the best post I have ever done because it's so controversial. And there's so many people that are calling me an idiot and saying I'm stupid and this and this and that. And the reason why I brought this up is because prior to that post, I would never post controversial things because yes, whether I realize it or not, it mattered what other people thought. And now I'm starting to realize, no, not only does it not matter, the negativity empowers me a little bit. Because, Well, and if you look at leaders, Danny, if you look at leaders over time, and gosh, I study leaders, but like you look at like Martin Luther King, he wasn't like, I have a dream. If it doesn't affect you,
I have a dream. Wait, not to you though. It's like leaders take a stance regardless, and they lead and you enroll others in your vision, and not everybody comes along, but the right people do.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. So I think I actually am glad you had that experience. I think it's powerful, and it's going to lead to you leading more in that matter.
Yep.
So do you ever not feel like doing things? Like, do you ever like, I don't feel like putting on another event, or I don't feel like going to work today or creating? Would you ever feel like that? And what do you do to overcome that?
You're not going to believe my answer. I take the day off and I go watch a movie.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah. Because again, watch, here's what most people do. Most people go, oh my God, but I'm not supposed to feel this way. But how do other people deal with it? I just don't. Okay, I don't feel like it. So what? I'm going to hang out. I'll go watch a movie by myself. I'm sure I'll feel better tomorrow. If I don't, I'll give myself till the weekend, and Monday I'm going to come back and kick ass. That's it.
So you're kind to yourself. You're kind.
I give myself grace. Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you start your days? Do you have a routine? Is it similar every day?
Every single morning I wake up at 4:20. I'm at the gym by 5. Home by about 6:30. I personally cook all my meals. That's like a trigger for me. It shows me discipline. I read over not only all of my commitments for this year, but I envision everything that I want, selling out the Staples Center, being on TV, changing people's lives, so forth and so on. And then I'm in the office typically by about 8:30 or so. And that's my morning routine.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you have like a most important beneficial daily habit? Like, is there one thing that, like, no matter where you are, if you're traveling, whatever, you're going to do it to help you?
I don't know if it's wherever I am, but I will tell you the waking up at the alarm going off at 4:25 a.m. for me is the trigger. It's the trigger. Yeah, it's the trigger. So I really believe that, the time you were up, and I'll tell you why. It's a trigger for several reasons. I think the biggest reason why is because for a lot of people, it's an issue. It's a difficult thing to do, and there's a lot of excuses and reasons not to do it. So in my mind, it sends a little message. I'm winning the game literally before the sun even comes up.
I like that. That's a good way of thinking about it, because I think most people are thinking it's more comfortable to stay in bed. It feels good. But you're putting it as everybody else is here. It's giving me an advantage. I'm winning.
Bingo.
I love that.
Bingo.
Who's in your circle? Like, who do you surround yourself with?
I recently, I've got a core group of friends that have been with me since day one. And then I recently, Chris King, I've been surrounding myself with him. Chris Warder is a great guy. A gentleman by the name of Louis Font, Sam Bakhtiar. They started this thing called The Camp, which is a fitness boot camp. And then I'm just constantly just open to new experiences, new people. But what I do is they've got to be people that bring value to my life, and I can bring value to their life. If not, I don't need them in my life. So I'm pretty.
So you up-level each other. You want people that you're leveling them up, they're leveling you up.
Yep, absolutely. And if not, I won't allow them in.
Got it. And I have a question for you that I ask everybody. So if you were to give 3 pieces of advice to someone that's starting out from that rock bottom spot, like that spot when you said you had the financial disaster years ago, or that kid that was moving from apartment to apartment, or that person that just lost the business, or their spouse left them, they're in that spot where they feel that hopeless, what 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
Number 1, live by faith, not fear. Number 2, decide exactly what you want. Number 3, make a plan to get it. Number 4, take massive inspired action and go get it.
So 3 there's a 4th. I love it. That's good. Oh my gosh. You're awesome. What are you working on next? Where can people find you? How can they go to your event?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've got a vision to be pretty darn big when it comes to the information, motivation, and helping people break through world. So I really appreciate you having me on the show. I hope I bring value to your followers and your listeners. And so I'm working on a tour right now throughout the country, some one-day events. They can find out information. It's not up yet, but DannyMorel.com. Relentlessevent.com is the site for the event. And then other than that, Instagram is like where I have the most fun and I put out the most content. So Downey Morel on Instagram.
Thank you so much, Downey.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for leveling up with us today. Please share this episode if you found it helpful so others can join in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on future shows. And if you would leave me a 5-star review, I appreciate those so much. I read all of them, and it's how I know that I'm giving you information that you find valuable. And come interact with me over on Instagram at NatalieJillFit. I read all the direct messages and comments over there. Make it a great day, creating everything from nothing.